These are my comments on the United States Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. The Strategic Bitcoin Reserve was introduced by Senator Lummis at Bitcoin Nashville. At that point, the outcome of the election was uncertain. If it had been a split Congress, if it had not been a red wave, it would have been a challenge. This was unclear 10 days ago, but today you have a pro-Bitcoin White House, pro-Bitcoin House of Reps, and a pro-Bitcoin Senate, and a pro-Bitcoin senator that has made her mission to accomplish this. And her bill calls for 1 million Bitcoin to be purchased by the United States government over 5 years.
And there you have it from Michael Saylor. He's talking about Cindy Loomis, the work she's put in to get that bill. And she did this before Trump was elected. And now stars seem to be aligning. Could we see this Bitcoin strategic reserve sooner rather than later? And with that, what's happening, Crypto Crew? I'm Sean, coming back at you with another cryptocurrency video.
Hey guys, sorry for the quick interruption, but if you're interested in trading MicroStrategy options, any other stock out there, Bitcoin, Solana, or any other crypto out there, you can now do that on MooMoo. And if you sign up with our affiliate link, which we pin in the comment section, also in the description below, when you sign up and deposit any amount, you're going to receive up to 20 free stocks, and each one of these stocks could be valued at up to $2,000. So make sure to sign up with MooMoo. Go get that free money. Now let's go ahead and get back to the video.
And to piggyback on that, if you guys are interested in getting free stuff, who doesn't like free stuff? Use this link right here to get your 20 free stocks, each valued up to $2,000. And also, if you want to be part of the Bitcoin Bros Club, we appreciate each and every one of you for your support. Join our community in the link below. And getting straight into it today, our first update, the ECB interest rate cut to 3%. The European Central Bank has lowered its key interest rates by 25 basis points, making its fourth rate cut of the year. This adjustment sets the deposit facility rate at 3%, the main refinancing rate at 3.15%, and the marginal lending facility at 3.4%. This decision reflects the ECB's response to inflation nearing the 2% target. So the ECB is pre-cutting right before the Fed. So will the Fed have another cut? And right here, PPI coming in slightly above the expectations. Pre-market barely moved. Actually increased the odds for our 25% rate cut next week, 94%, which means it's a done deal. And look at the chart right here. You see there's a 90, almost 5% chance that we're going to get 0.25 basis points in the cut, which is in line with what the ECB did, bullish for markets. In other news, BlackRock is telling you that up to 2% Bitcoin allocation is reasonable. Now, you're not worth $10 trillion like BlackRock. You don't have that many assets under management, so reassess your 2%. Your 2% might be 50%, might be 75%, or 100%. Are you orange pilled yet? Current time this recording, Bitcoin's coming in at 101. What do we see? What do we anticipate? The 101 level is where we need to get above. As you see right here, we see that we have previous supports and resistances at these levels. We haven't had a candle close above this level. So once we get a candle close, we're going to see probably price go up to at least 107 if it happens over the next week, up to almost 110. So that's going to be definitely bullish for Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market. But the 101 level is a level to pay attention to, and we're sort of in this just broadening channel here. And as time progresses, this channel is going to keep going up and to the right. But we want to get through this 101 level first. Right now, you see we've tested this level once, twice, 3, 4, 5, and now this is the 6th time since December 5th. So over the past week, 6 tests of this level. We need to get above this and hold. This is the daily chart. So once we get a daily close above this, we actually could come up, come back down, retest, and then the fun starts again. MicroStrategy at the current time this recording is coming in over $400 at 402. You see, we actually were up to 415, had a little bit of a sell-off. So around the 400 range, we got QQQ announcement happening tomorrow. So that may cause, some bullish momentum for the price action, but it got sort of pre-announced. So it's a pre-announcement to announcement. The official announcement will be tomorrow. Pay attention there. Looking at the price chart, what do we see? Check this out. This is the 12-hour chart. And we've showed you this downwards channel. We hit our head once on this channel, and look what happened. We came up, and look at, we came down, and it's almost textbook. Came back, flipped resistance to support, and this could just be a bump and run continuation going into that QQQ event. You want to be ready for what's coming. Right now, these dips are for buying because you want to see what this target is for Bitcoin. Don't miss this.
How much of what we're seeing, maybe even a little bit today, is there's been such a regulatory overhang on a lot of these names under the current administration. Now you have a new FTC chairperson. Is that playing a role in any respect to this? Because Dan Ives put out a note today, said Christmas comes early with the new head of the FTC for tech.
It's probably the best way to sort of measure this is what Bitcoin's doing, because Bitcoin faced enormous regulatory burdens over the last few years, and now we have a White House that's embracing digital assets, a new SEC chairman, FTC chairman, a new Commerce Secretary. I think these are actually being viewed as pro-business, reviving animal spirits, but I think a good proxy is watching Bitcoin.
All right, now I'm going to have to pin you to a target again on Bitcoin because, I mean, you've been among the most optimistic and outspoken about it for years, to be quite honest. So here we are, above 100,000. What's a legit target for 2025 for Bitcoin?
We think it's going to follow a similar halving cycle that we've seen in the past that would imply something around 250,000 for Bitcoin in 2025. And on top of that, we have a Trump put because Bitcoin is potentially a strategic reserve asset for the U.S. government.
And there we have Tom Lee. You heard it again. We could be getting a U.S. reserve for Bitcoin, but also a $250,000 Bitcoin price. So we mentioned MicroStrategy. We showed you this bump and run pattern, and we've talked about the MNAV and the premium and all that stuff in previous videos. Ben Workman, if you don't know who this guy is, definitely follow him on Twitter. His followers have been blowing up. This guy drops alpha, and he's talking about where he sees the premium of MicroStrategy going for the rest of this cycle. Let's hear from Ben.
I guess when I look at how am I going to value MicroStrategy and the premium's been a moving target all the time. And quite frankly, one of the limiting factors to the premium is Saylor himself, right? Because they're using these products like the ATM and issuing the convertible bonds out there, they actually have an impact on how high that multiple goes. I kind of look at it as you've got the camp that looks at the 1 times MNAV, right? Those are the people that are only looking at the value of the Bitcoin, but they're excluding the value of the capital markets activity, right? He's essentially creating a product playground for Wall Street capital, which is a huge amount of capital. And that volatility is what those firms need to generate their returns. So what you're trying to do mentally is value, what is that worth? What is it worth to generate returns through a product like your equity or your bonds to billions of dollars of capital that's starved for returns these days, right? There's very few companies that are providing a lot of returns in the markets these days, right? When you go look through the S&P 500, most of the returns is coming from like 7 of them. So they're starved for returns in their products. Now you've got someone offering them volatility, right, through Bitcoin securitization into these bonds. And what you're trying to do is value that customer's view on this, right? You got to get yourself out of the consumer minds or the retail mindset where we're all hyper-focused on the value of Bitcoin itself, right? That's one piece of this. What we're trying to value is what is institutional capital returns worth to Wall Street? Right? What's going to keep them coming back to the product that's going to keep giving MicroStrategy these favorable terms that's going to allow them to continue to grow the scale of their operations? And that's a very hard thing to do, right? I don't think there's a formula yet for that. And we're going to find out. We find out often when it comes into like the blackout periods where MicroStrategy is not going to use the ATM leading into things like earnings, right? You might have a couple of weeks before earnings where they're not going to use the ATM at all, and they're not going to issue a new convertible bond during that period. So what you have is essentially all the inorganic sale pressure come out of the market, right? Because they are the inorganic sales pressure, right? So once that selling pressure is out of the market, you start to get a sense of how does the market actually value this company? because now the price starts moving in that direction. So if you look right before their last earnings, it started going straight up on a 45-degree angle, right? And then they did more convertible bond offerings. He went heavy on the ATM, right? He's running through the $21 billion he's got there. And so that becomes a limiting factor on how far that can expand. So I think that that premium is going to stair step for a while. I think that you might see it, it was in the 3s. I think eventually he might lay off and it might expand into the 4s, and that'll kind of reset a floor where it'll bounce between 4 and 3 now. There's a lot of people out there that think it's going to be 10 to 20 to 30, and I'm not going to say that that's not going to happen. I don't know. But I do think that there's going to be a range that this is going to end up settling into eventually as people digest this strategy and these products that they're offering. So I'm kind of viewing it as falling somewhere between a 2 and a 5 and kind of oscillating through there depending on what Bitcoin's doing.